Yes. Okay. So I think like we have completed on the workflow, right? Like basically in workflow, we completed task and the email template. Now using the email template, and also we send an email to like the employees, like, yeah. So let me open that automations. Okay. So within that workflow, the next one is, sorry, we have a field update. So field update and outbound message. There are two options available on workflow. So let's look at the field update. So based on the existing fields or based on the any other value, we can go ahead and update the fields, like maybe depends on the some other fields, we can update it. So there are some real-time scenario which I will walk you through the second part, not in the first part. First part, like I will guide you how to do that, and second part I will walk you through the real-time scenarios. But the field update is just a very simple. So now let's say if there is an employee, okay, assume like while creating an employee, if there is a joining date, if the joining date is today, the active checkbox has to check automatically. Yeah, so that is a field update. Let's assume if I enter the joining date, if the joining date is present, the active checkbox has to be updated automatically. So how do we do that?
Using validation rule, Sampath?
No, it has to update automatically. So validation tool, you can throw an error message.
Okay.
Yeah. So via validation rule, yes, you can throw an error message. User must select the checkbox. That's fine. Yes, that's good one. But I don't want to enforce user to check the checkbox. But whenever, as soon as the joining date is present, the active checkbox has to be checked. And also, if the joining date is greater than today, then the active checkbox has to be false automatically. Like, yeah. Or maybe like I would say, yeah, that is a different scenario. We'll go for it. As soon as the joining date is present, the checkbox has to be checked automatically. How do we do that? So let's create a workflow on the employee object with the field update. Either you can use the existing workflow, or this one I'm going to do update active checkbox. Employee object. Okay, just put like based on the joining date and time. So created and anytime it's edited or created and subsequently meet the criteria. So I will go ahead with the subsequently meet the criteria. Joining date is not equal null. Okay, sorry. So yeah, we cannot go for like a joining date. So what we can do? I will go for formula evaluations. So here also you can validate. So is blank of joining date. Here I am going to say not of is blank. Okay, not of is blank of joining date. So it means joining date is not equal to null. Then do the update operations. Update the checkbox. On the employee object. Now, if the employee object have any parent object, parent record, like parent relationship, so employee has to be a child and the employee have some parent object, means here you can update the parent object as well. You can see the parent fields as well. But at the moment there is no, that is a benefit of having master detail relationship. If it's a lookup, you cannot do it. But if it's a master detail, yes, via workflow, you can update the parent record fields. But if it's a lookup, you can do that via process builder. If you have a process builder, even there is a lookup or master detail, doesn't matters. Even lookup also, you can go and update the parent fields. But in workflow, in order to update the parent fields, you must have a master detail relationship between the object. So now what value you want to activate? And here additional one more checkbox, evaluate workflow rules after field changes. Whenever the checkbox is changed, do you want again evaluate the entire workflow rules? Maybe in that object there are different workflow rules. Do you want to evaluate that? I don't want to do that. And what value you have to update? Just make it as a true and say done and activate it. Okay, now if I edit, remove it, save. Okay, nothing, edit, see here, the checkbox is checked automatically. Is that clear? Hello?
Yes, Sampath, yeah.
Yeah, so that is the field update. So field update can be done on the same object. So via workflow, you can update the field based on the some other fields. Okay, not only this is the one scenario, so similar way like you have plenty of scenarios. Okay, now let's move on to the next actions, which is outbound message. So generally the outbound message will be used to send an email, like send a information from one system to another systems. Yeah, so you can use like a outbound message to send the information from one system to another systems. So for that, you need to have a web services. The web services has to provided by third party systems. Let's say like now I want to send the employee information to in my HR systems. So HR system is built on the Oracle or maybe a .NET. So from the Oracle or .NET, they have to provide the web service URL similar to like this. So let me show you one sample. Here I am going to use the request bin, which is like open source. Yeah, so here is the new request. I will create a new request bin first of all, so that like it will create a new request bin. I don't want to do it like I will go for a free one. Where is that? Or instead of request bin, we can go for, there are other tool, public, create a public bin. Okay, so this is the public bin. I created one request bin. So request bin is again one of the open source. So just copy this URL. Okay, I'm copying this URL. Now I will create a new workflow. On the employee, send the info to an external systems. It's coming automatically. That's nice. Okay. Whenever created or edited, just send an informations. Just you can go for and conditions or conditions. So employee additional email or employee age, like the fields are not equal to null. Not equal to null, not equal to null, not equal to null. Here you can have, or you can go for is changed. There is option is changed, but again that cannot be used here. Here you can go for 1 or 2 or 3. You can go for any conditions. Okay, at the moment I will go for a simple conditions, which is just employee name is not equal to null. That's it. I don't want any other conditions, just make it none. As long as the employee name is not equal to null, then send an info. Here use the outbound message. Send an info to external systems. So here you have to put the URL. And do you want to send a session ID, and you want to make a protected component, nobody will access it, and what are the information you would like to send. So I would like to send all the fields. Okay, save and activate it. Now before checking here, so what I need to do, I have to add the URL, this URL in my remote site settings. Generally, any third-party URL, if you are trying to access in Salesforce, you have to add that URL into remote site settings. In Salesforce, we have a remote site settings. So here you have to add the third-party URL. If you are trying to access any URL, if it's a third party, let's say external system. Yeah, any third party URL, if you are accessing from Salesforce, you have to add that particular URL into a remote set setting so that the connection will be established. Okay, now I added. Let's create a new employee, or you can edit the existing employee also. Let's say data loader 1. Okay, save. Now if I look at the log, just wait for it. Still it's not coming. It says this is the endpoint. I think like we put a wrong endpoint, not this one. This is the endpoint URL. Now go back to the remote site settings. I will update this. Same way, go to the workflow rules. Edit, update this. Okay, make sure activated. Yeah, that's fine. Simply edit. I will say okay. Now let's look at the request bin. Still is not coming. Let's see. Yeah, see here, I got one now. See here, if you look at the data, this is a Salesforce ID, and this is a record, the age, and these additional comments, and these are all the fields basically. Now what we need to do, like basically the third party system who is provide this URL, the endpoint URL. Yeah, that system has to capture all this information and update into their system. So let's say like if it's Oracle or .NET, they have to process this data. So they have to read this data, raw data, and process it and get the age, country, and created by like all the fields. What are the fields we are providing it? So all the fields they can take it and update into their local systems. So either it could be Oracle or either it could be .NET. That is the benefit of having the outbound message. Now, without doing any coding, as an administrator, you can send an information to a third-party systems. Yeah. Any question on this?
No,
Hello?
Sampath, yeah.
Is that okay? Okay. So now let's move on to the next topic, which is approval process. Okay. So I think approval process, something wrong here. Yeah, there is no outbound message in approval process. I would say log the records. Yeah, 1 second. Okay. So now, what is the use of approval process? In an organization, let's say as a sales guy, he trying to sell the product to a customer. Now, customer asking for a more discount. He is not a right person to provide that much discount. What he need to do? He will request his manager. Maybe manager will have a capability to approve that level of discount. Even if the manager is not possible, then it has to go for MD level or company CEO level. We can have a different, excuse me, yeah, we can have a different level of approval process. We can create a multiple level of approval process. The same way, whenever the new employee is created, yeah, whenever the new employee is created, we need an approval process from internal staff member. Any one of the staff member, maybe manager approval. Then only the employee will be onboarded. Yep. Let's assume like this is our requirement. The general real-time requirement is basically on an opportunity or on a quotations. If whenever they are sending a quotation to our customers, if they ask for some additional discount, maybe 5%, 10%, 20%, up to 5%, salesperson can do it. But if they're asking for a 10%, he is not a right person to approve the 10%. Then he may need to request his manager. Then he need to send approval request to his manager. Then manager can approve it. Right. So how do we achieve that in Salesforce? So how do we create a approval process first of all? So here our requirement is, well, if you are creating a new employee, the employee has to be approved. Yeah, employee has to be approved by any one of the staff member. Let's say like I would like to send the information to Supriya. Let Supriya can approve the employees. Okay. To create an approval process, again go back to the setup and search for approval. Again, you can create a approval process of any objects. So which object you would like to create? Select the employee. In approval process, we have two options. Use jump start wizard or standard setup wizard. Jump start wizard means just a 2-page. Standard setup wizard means more than 6 pages. It will go page by page, page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, like that it will go. So every page they will ask for a few details. But in jump start wizard, everything in a second page. All the information will be there in a single page. So I would like to start with the jump start wizard. So employee approval process. Okay. Would you like to use any email template? If you are not using any email template, by default the system will take a general template. The criteria is, I would say, what is the criteria? Maybe employee name is not equal to null. or official email is not null. Official email is not equal to null. And here you can have a multiple conditions. We have a 4 approval. I think this is one of the exam questions. So select approver using the option below. Specify the user to whom the approval request assigned to. Let submitter choose an approver manually. So now if I create a new employee, so if I want to send an email approval process, I have to choose to whom I need to send a approval request. So if you choose the first options, submitter manually has to choose the approval every time. The second option is automatically assign an approver using standard or custom hierarchy field. We have a manager field on the user object. So by default, the user manager will be the approver if you use the second options. Else you can use queue. You can create a queue. Within the queue, you can add a people, one or more people, and you can use it. Or directly assign a users in stuff like looking for a manager or looking for a queue, or directly you can assign a users. Even you can assign more than one user also. But right now, just I will assign only one users, which is Supriya. So I will put like to Supriya. Okay. If there are more than one user, approve or reject based on the first response. Who is approving first record? First approver approved. Or anonymous means everybody from the selected users, everyone has to approve. Then only the record will get approved. Okay. So at the moment we have only one user. Let's go ahead with one. So remember, you will not be able to use this approval process until it has been activated. You may need to activate it. If you forget to activate, then it won't work. So first page, just we put a basic information. Now this is the main page. Here you can see all the informations. See here. But if you use the standard setup wizard, it will go page by page. I would say like more than 6 pages it will go. So this is a page. Here we have initial submission actions. So once the record is submitted, what will happen? So what I will do, I will go and create one more field over here. I would say approval status. Okay. I will create one more field on the employee object, which is approval status. And the employee new field pick list. So what are the value? Open, in progress, approved, rejected, on hold. Okay. So these are all the different status. Use first value as a default. Whenever the record is created, by default open. Add it to the both page layout. Now, even here in this approval process, what I will do, official email ID is not equal to null. I will put a one more conditions, the criteria, entry criteria. So entry criteria will be official email ID is not equal to null and approval status. Employee approval status is equal to open. Then only the approval process will fire. Otherwise, it won't fire. I put a two conditions. Okay. So these are two conditions. Official email ID is not equal to null and the employee approval status is equal to open. Okay. Now, once the approval request is submitted, what is the next step? So what I will do, See here also you can do all 4 operations: task, email alert, field update, outbound message. Now I would like to update the field. Update approval status to in progress. What value? In progress. Then once it's approved, see here is the steps. You can have a multiple steps. Step 1, step 2, you can create a new steps. So maybe like you need more than 2 users or 3 users need to be approved. You can have a multiple step. Once Supriya is approved, it has to go for a next level of approval. Yeah, maybe like a manager, then manager MD or CEO, like that. If you have a multiple levels, you can create a multiple level based on the conditions. You can put a condition next step. See, so step 2, criteria met. If the record is met the criteria, all record or enter the criteria. If be like age is greater than so and so, it goes to 2 level. Otherwise just a first level. We can put that if age is greater than 60 or 50, go to the next level approver. Maybe next level approval will be, I can put any other users. So instead of Supriya, I will say like I think Manjunath don't have access. Who else like will have full permissions? Richa. Let's assign to Richa. Or I think I'm not sure what is the profile for Richa. I will go with Vanita. Let's see. And then do you would like to create a task? No need. See here, now 2 steps. If the employee age is greater than 50, it will go to the next level. If is not greater than 50, it will be stop here only. Then final approval, either this record or this record. Final approval, what we need to do? I will update a field. Update the approval status to approved. See, even in between, if they submitted, if it's going for a next level, you can do like any other status. So maybe in progress. In between, like a first step and the second step, if you want to do any other additional updates, approval status to on hold or something like you can do it on hold, waiting for next level or something like you can go. Yeah, see here, the first level approval itself, it will go during the time, like it will updated. If there is no age greater than 50, like basically less than 50, just it will go here and then final approval. That's it. It will bypass this. Then rejections again. Now, one additional things you need to understand. So whenever the user is submit an approval process, see here there is options. Record is locked. Record is locked from being editing. So the user, once the record is submitted, the user cannot edit it. The user is who submitted the record, he cannot edit the record. Basically, the record will be locked. Only the manager can edit or administrator can edit. The user cannot edit. It will be locked. So same way, whenever the final approval done, then record will be locked. And for rejections, the record will be unlocked. Even you can change it here. If you want to unlock the record, you can unlock it. But you don't want to unlock that. Once it's approved, it's locked. And recall. say, let's say like maybe employee wrongly send a approval request, they can recall it. So for recall, if you want to do any actions, you can do that action as well. Any question on this? Hello?
No, Sampath.
And on the approval steps, once the approval process is activated, you cannot add any new steps. That is the one drawback. Basically, you cannot add a new steps. So you have to create a, either you have to deactivate it and then you have to create a approval process. Let's say if I activated it, that's it. Now you cannot add a new steps over here. See here that there is no new button.
But I can deactivate this, then add a step and then activate it again,
No,
right?
no. You have to clone it. Basically, you have to create a new copy and then you have to add additional steps. Other conditions you can modify it, but the steps cannot be added even if you are deactivating it. Yeah, and one additional things which you need to remember is if there are any pending approval items at the time, the system won't allow you to deactivate. You cannot deactivate the approval process if there are something pending records is there in the system. You have to clean all the records, then only like the approval process will allow you to deactivate. So these are all just you need to remember it. Okay, now I have activated it.
Sampath,
Yeah,
if it was gone for approval and it has been rejected, yeah, like
yeah,
it has been there sitting for someone to come and approve it.
yeah.
So in that case, how does it works?
Sorry, can you repeat once again? So
Once again, like basically, if it was waiting for approval and the person is not there,
yeah,
still it sit there, so it doesn't work out that time.
yeah, you have to wait for it until to finish it. So he has to approve it. Otherwise, the administrator can reassign it. Let's say like he gone for an vacations.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So now let's go to the employee. Less than a minute, I think like the meeting going to be end. So what you need to do, you need to add the approval button on the page layouts. So basically I will just go here, edit. Now submit for approval is there. Same way here, you need to add a button. So on the mobile and lightning actions, submit for an approval so that the user can submit it. Same way for fresher page layout also, I will add it. Where is that button? Submit for an approval. Okay, now you go to the any one of the existing record, edit. The age is 78, so 42 only, and make sure the official email ID is not null. kathy@gmail.com, something I'll put it. Joining date is today. Save. And also I have to change the status field, approval status field, then only I can submit. Now even if you try to submit, see here, if I try to submit, please approve. See here what it says. Hello.
Yes, Sampath, yeah. No
So
applicable approval.